Think back. At least once in your life, you all must have negatively judged or made an assumption about someone. You might look at someone with a tattoo sleeve and automatically think that they're unsafe to be around. You might also look at someone who wears a revealing dress and think that they're promiscuous. Everybody had had these thoughts. But have you ever realized that you apply the same set of expectations to yourself? In today's society, where the spread of judgments and information is rapid, it is unavoidable for us to find fault not only within others, but also ourselves. Our society aggressively creates unrealistic expectations and builds its own idea of perfection. And as we are raised in this rigid society to believe in the judgments oppressed upon us and these strict ideals, we unconsciously create unrealistic expectations for others as the result of our own insecurities. The cycle goes on and never truly stops, unless we change the way that we think. You might not realize this, but there are so many more unrealistic societal pressure that has been put on you. These are the set of likable characteristics that society has deemed to be acceptable and are enforced on individuals to achieve such expectation. They expect you to be an A+ student in all subjects, an artistically blessed person, an athlete, a socially popular person, and a good-looking person with a perfect body, and so much more. How can anyone achieve all of these expectations? No one can be perfect at everything. Even those who are considered perfect, they have flaws. To add on, societal expectations are constantly changing through different eras. For example, back in the Renaissance, the ideal standard would be considered as fat today, while now being skinny is the bare minimum to being considered as beautiful. In fact, 94% of teenage girls and 65% of teenage boys have been body shamed. Let that sink in. These are teenagers, the future of our world, yet their minds are kept occupied by the misery of failing to meet constantly changing societal standards when they don't understand what truly is beautiful. I'm Hannah Pham, and not only am I a victim of today's society, unfortunately, I'm also a part of it. As much as I advocate the toxicity of the societal ideals, I still unconsciously strive to achieve them. Personally, I struggle a lot with keeping my sane while trying to maintain my status with keeping up with the constantly changing standards. Like everyone, I have insecurities, perhaps a lot of them. Because if you personally know me, I'm known as that happy friend. But I picked upon all of my traits. I hated the way that I looked, the way that I act, the way that I couldn't finish things at the pace my peers were, the way that I was imperfect at anything, and the way that I was so sensitive. I would compare myself to those who I considered better than me and then beat myself up for not achieving what they had achieved. I ranked myself amongst others because I wanted to be the best in my class or the best in my school, but knowing truly that I couldn't do that put me in tremendous rage. I would go home every day and cry myself to sleep because I was not meeting the expectations that my friends or my brother set for me. For my brother, he was known for having high academics achievements and the leaders of many events. Knowing all of his achievements, I cannot help but feel like I have to achieve what he achieved, or at least be as talented as he was. I was drowning in all the things I wanted to achieve, but I couldn't, simply because I'm a human. I spent all my time stressing on what I could do and what I should achieve instead of my existing potential. I had enough of it, but I couldn't stop. What did I do then, you may ask? Well, I don't want to just bluntly lie that I found my self-worth or that I'm perfect just the way that I am. But instead, I use a toxic coping method to deal with my insecurities. I found those who I consider as inferior to me and compare myself to them instead. How did this work out? Well, for the first few weeks and months that I did this, I admit it felt much better because finally I was beating someone. But after a while, my situation got worse than it was before. I was not only living so that I could potentially beat someone, and I was just find more insecurities about myself as I criticized them. When in reality, the people that I criticized that was not inferior to me, I would feel like I had failed. Not until recently did I realize what I was actually doing. I realized that I could not depend on this degrading coping method all my life so that I could feel better about myself while others were miserable because of my words. As I'm changing, I found out how society operated in the same way to spread their unrealistic ideals. As a member of the Vietnamese community, I have to admit that despite our amazing traditions, our community is in general insensitive about comments about appearances, especially in the way we market our products that are suitable only to specific ideals, most notably about body image and skin tone. It is normal for friends and family to comment on someone's weight or someone's skin tone, saying that, oh, you look better back then, you were skinny and fair. For example, my mom, the person who has raised me my whole life, is a heavy contributor to the spreading of unrealistic ideals. Even though my mom's weight is medically healthy, she still struggles a lot with her insecurities about her weight. She didn't always have this fear until the subconscious thoughts of her society told her, oh, if you gain weight, you should go to the gym. Oh, you would look much better if you were skinnier. Oh, these are the largest size we sell in every store. She steered away from the outside world and only went out if only she wore black clothing, since apparently the media told her it would make her look skinnier. For the rare times that she did went out and see a heavier, confident person, she would scrunch her eyebrows and say, "Cái tướng như vậy mà dám mặc đồ hở ra đường," which can be roughly translated into, a body like her has the guts to wear that outside. This was when I confirmed my logic worked. She was insecure from the societal pressure that has been put on her. Then she went to apply similar judgments to someone else. It is common to think that only teenagers, those who are rebels and attention seekers, are the only one that experiences this. However, insecurity seeps deeply within our mindset and remains throughout our childhood, throughout our adulthood. It's because we crave the validation from society. We believe that the only way that we would be considered as beautiful is if we fit in with others' preferences. As we strive to achieve society's desires, we continue to feel it as we buy products to make ourselves more desirable, further criticizing others to meet ideals and contributing to the advocacy of unrealistic standards. So, how exactly do you stop further spreading unrealistic ideals? Just simply stop caring. Stop caring about where you stand to others, but rather where you stand to yourself. Now, this is easier said than done, because of course, there's always that little part in you that longs for the acceptance of others. But personally, I found it helpful to view those comments as only constructive feedback because, of course, you have the choice to change it or not. If you feel like you're changing yourself to make yourself happier in general, then please do it. But if you feel like you're changing yourself just to avoid those comments and to satisfy others' preferences, do not change a bit. While doing this, please keep in mind that your happiness should stay as first priority. Learn to love yourself, as selfish as this may seem, because when you love yourself, loving others will come. This means that you should aim to always be better, not to just reach a goal and then stop. It is easy to do this, however, I still struggle with it. But recognizing this issue had made me more informed about my insecurities and the many more ways I could solve my issues than just to bring others down. To conclude, we all have insecurities. We all have flaws. So why bring others down to make them feel the misery that we feel when the problem is our attitude and our perspective? Taking our insecurities and transforming them into the advocacy of unrealistic expectations will not only worsen our society, our insecurities, our self-hatred, but creates long-term impossible standards. Being in this world means that you're going to be judged, but you have the choice to care or not. To care is to accept that you are never enough. To care is to contribute to the normalizing of unrealistic standards. To care is to enable the toxic cycle of society to go on. Be rebels towards society's desire, not society. Thank you.